Hey guys, if you're watching today's video, you might have a couple of questions on specific types of floor mats, especially these aftermarket floor mats that we can find on Amazon. And in today's video, I just want to go over the real life review on exactly how I installed these floor mats into my 1999 Jeep Cherokee. Because I just recently bought this. It didn't come with floor mats, it didn't have carpets inside. And I was searching Amazon for specific products also to hopefully help deaden the sound of the tires as they rotate, because we get a lot of vibrations in these older Jeeps. Anytime you lift a vehicle, 6.5 inches and put 35s on, you're going to get some noise on the inside of the cab. I'm trying to dampen that down just a little bit. But the product that I picked out here today was Carpass, heavy duty rubber car mats and cargo liner. They got deep dishes. I wasn't sure if this would be an awesome product or not, so I wanted to get them ordered and check them out, and also show you guys the real life install of what happens when somebody buys a product like this. Because when we watch these videos, it's just so cookie cutter and they try to make everything look awesome, and you're not going to have a problem installing it. So, but yes, Carpass floor mats is what I have. They do have several different options. I chose the one in black, which is $59.99, and it has the back portion which will fit in my cargo bay. Now if you scroll over, you can also pick the beige color here, which is $63.64 it looks like, and you can also pick other options that don't have the back cargo area, and you can scroll through, pick other designs. But there's only two options here that have the back cargo area, but I wanted to have the back cargo area mat to keep stuff from sliding around in the back. And I also have a cargo cage in there, so that's going to play into a little bit of a factor on the install process. And real life reviews, that's what I like to do. All right, let's see what we got in the box. First thing I saw was, once I got it open, it got a little piece of chalk that's hopefully useful to help you mark these lines if you should have to cut anything. So that's going to come in handy. I'll use my pickup truck as a place to start setting things down. All right, first thing we have, this is going to be the one for the center. It does have a little fold right here in the middle. Just part of packaging. That should smooth out just fine. Now we have the basic floor mats. They do look pretty nice. They have a nice well right here and pretty good grip right here for your feet. And as you can see, we can cut all the way around through here if we should need to trim up anything at all. Here's the one for the other side. All right, now here's the fun one. This is probably the one that most of you clicked on the video to see. Is okay, so how does this back mat look? And it's looking pretty good so far, but it's huge. And I need to see how far into the vehicle it goes, because it's pretty big. It's actually a lot bigger than I was planning on. And it does have a little bit of diamond plate looking texture right here. Let's go ahead and get this stuff put in the Jeep and see how it looks. Let's go ahead and get this one for the center. Put it in there. See how this goes. Trying to hold a camera, this isn't exactly the easiest process. So we're gonna get that in there, flop it down. And I'm lucky I won't have to move the seats forward, but I am hoping to improve the look of this Jeep a little bit, just by first impressions. And so far that fits quite nicely. So there's the center rib right there. Tuck that in on either side, and I think this will fit and mold quite nicely. But that's what the back's gonna look like. Now I need to get the front ones in and see how that's gonna go, because this big one here, that's for the back, that's for the trunk. And I think I'm probably gonna have to do some adjustments in here, because as you can see in the back here, I have this cage. It's kind of hodgepodged in there. So I might have to actually undo some points down here. That, and I have a vent hose for off-roading. And that way some stuff is above the water. But I can make a hole in that material for that. But I really don't even need the mat to go that far. I only need it to go back as far as this area right in here. So yeah, let's check out the driver's side, see if I got to trim anything at all. Should have probably thought this out a little bit and took the old floor mat out. This one's not too bad, but it's kind of beat up. And just like all Jeeps,
We have a gaping hole in the floor. Let's see how this fits. Okay, this looks like I might have to trim up some because it's sticking way off to the side. So, all right, I'm gonna do some trimming and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, so I'm in the back of the Jeep right now, and I'm just taking the old floor mat that I had in there, and I'm just getting the basis of exactly where I want to try to start cutting first. So it looks like this outer rib here can definitely come off, and then I can actually probably cut up through here and up and around. Now, as part of the package, they did give you a little piece of chalk, and this is chalk. That's definitely chalk. I didn't know what it was when I watched it on the original video of the product, but this is just, yeah, it's like a piece of chalk you would find at high school. So this can give you the basis of kind of where you might want to start trimming. So for starters, I'm just going to run this line down here to start. I'm going to cut over here, and then we're going to start cutting that away, and we're going to see how it starts to fit as we get closer. You don't have to use the chalk if you really don't want to, but I'm just using regular household scissors. It cuts through this, not a problem. Okay, there's our first cut. I'm thinking I'm going to have to do the other side too. And I'm definitely going to take that first little bit off the outside on the other side as well. Okay, now I'm going to go do a test fit real quick and see what else I need to do. Okay, because the Jeep is it's got such a narrow place to put your feet, I'm going to have to cut all this right here off, and then probably cut across up into there to try to get this perfect, or even somewhat perfect. And I can always use the old floor mat to hopefully give me a good idea as to about where I want to be. So the well's about the same. So this part in the Jeep is already folded up like this, and it's almost coming off. So I'm going to have to go all the way up through here. And this is just to start. Then we're going to go take this piece off right there and see if we got to make any more adjustments. And then I believe back here, I could probably take this piece off all the way across. But once you have it figured out, it should be easy peasy. And this stuff cuts super easy. Now the process is pretty simple. You just keep cutting a little bit off at a time, and you just go back and double check and see if you need to remove any more. Okay, we're going to call that final install right there, because I don't want to cut too much more off right here. This part I don't mind. Everything looks pretty good on the inside there, and it kind of lines right up with this rust spot right back here. If you got a Jeep, you know what I'm talking about. You got rust everywhere. But this covers the big gaping hole in the floor, so that's a plus. Now there's one here on the back. It's going to take some time to get that hump out of the middle. I guess if you live in places like Arizona or southern Texas where it's really hot and humid, this would probably just form right to the vehicle, no problem. Okay, it is Alaska, and it's still kind of cold out. We've been getting a little bit of snow this week, but it's not been too bad. I'm still trying to get these humps out of here. There's a bit of a crease right there. You guys can see that's a little bit annoying, but thankfully this is going to be in the back of the vehicle. I don't have to stare at it every day. But you can see how they have this places where you can cut out in case you got door locks or latches or something like that. But that's a whole nother problem. Now I did put this first one in. I forgot my chalk. All right, let's grab my chalk real quick and head on over here. Now I put this first panel in. It really doesn't look too bad, but I do want to do a little bit of trimming here because it looks like I could trim up this one area right here. So I'm just going to put a little mark there, and this part over here, if you guys can see, it folds up quite nicely up underneath there. So I kind of like that, and it's looking like the only real trimming I need to do is probably going to be right over here somewhere. And I'm going to want to go from here. I'm going to cut all of that off right up through there. And then I'll have to figure out this corner through here. But yeah, we're just gonna do that for starters and see how it works. Okay, I went and changed my mind. I came back over here to double check. I was thinking of cutting this off right here, but that's a little bit too short. This chalk will just come off at the car wash when you take your mats out and wash them, but I had a big lip right there. I wanted to get rid of that, and it looks good enough. I mean, it's an old beater with a heater. So okay, here's the final fit on the passenger side, and the passenger side footwell is really different compared to the other side. So I had a lot more material I could use, so I just left a lot more on there. But it does give a really nice bucket right here. And the only real flippy part is right there. If you don't like that, you can obviously take that off if that's what you choose. All right, now the hardest part for me is going to be putting this one in the back, and that's probably what most of you are interested in. And I definitely wanted to make sure I get that on video. But the problem with the one in the back is that I have this safety cage in here, and I'm probably going to have to figure out what the heck I'm going to do here because I'm not sure. So I'll get back with you as soon as I figure out something, because these Jeeps, they do have some places for possible mounting points. And these little mounting points or tie down spots are like right here. And if you wanted those accessed, you'd have to cut a little bitty hole, you know, to make those accessible. You know, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do about these, or if I'm just going to leave them covered up for now. I can always come back and, you know, figure it out later. I don't know. Okay, I am not 100% sure how I want to do this. See how I can get this to fit in here. Got a lot of angles going on here. One thing for sure is I have to cut this one section out right there. So I'm going to start on that first. Okay. So this section here just gives me access to where I can actually close my tailgate. But now I got to work on this corner here, and you just push it in, and you kind of get a feel for where you're going to start your cut. I think since the point is right there, boy, probably going to cut this out, and then I'm going to take off that way and see how that goes. All right, that gives it a halfway decent look right here in the corner. That doesn't bother me there. Now, like I said, the hardest part is trying to figure out what to do with all of this excess, because I can actually just lay this up and go that way a little bit with it, with the exception of where this hose is right here. And this is just a vent hose from down below. That way, if I do get into deep water, I'm not going to submerge this whole thing. Get water and everything. All right, let's work on this corner over here. See how that's going to work out. Okay, we're going to come this way. And then it looks like I can start to go that way and then straight up. Maybe. I'm not sure. All right. It's always safer to cut off less than cut off more, in case you want to change your mind. So, okay, I can come over to there. That's where I can start cutting up through there. Now, this is where it gets weird. There's only a little spot in there to where I could lay that down in there. This is one of those situations where I'm like, do I care or do I not? Because I could actually cut this a little different and probably get that to lay in there and look halfway decent. But I really don't know if I should give a darn. And I should just run this edge straight up right through here, and I'll just have a little bit of the floor hanging out right there. Or I could just go like this. Okay, I'm just eyeballing this the best I can. See how that lays in there. It's not too bad. Huh. Okay. I'll just have to deal with that a little bit. I'm just going to go straight across. So I can go straight across to about there. Okay. That's good enough for that right there. See, the problem is where the fuel comes in right there. I don't want to mess around with that little piece right there. This doesn't look too bad. I could trim off a little bit right here. But so far, so good. If I really wanted to, I could just zip tie that up right there. But I don't want to do that. So we'll just figure out where I want to cut. And I think if I cut off right over here, I can get rid of all of this excess and be somewhat done with that. Okay, that's what we're going to do. All right, guys, so there's the finished product of everything. So this is how I laid the mat in the back. Now, if you don't have that vent hose back there, you know, for off-roading or whatever, there's always several different spots. Now, I do have a lot of this extra material left over I can use if I want to, like, just put something extra up in there, which is just an option. So let me know what you think of this product. So far, I do actually like it. It didn't cost me that much. I'd have to go look to see exactly what I paid for it, but I don't think I spent that much money on these floor mats, and this one did include the mat that came in for the back of the vehicle. So that was exactly what I was looking for. I was just trying to cover up some of this stuff and make it look just a little bit better, because I do haul my kids around once in a while. Oh yeah, I always carry a welcome mat just in case you're out on the trail. That way you can lay these down. Sometimes you can use them for anything. You can lay on top of them. I can pull this one out of the back too. Also gives me an extra added surface.
So after installing the